My, oh my, wake the kids, get the neighbors. This is an extravaganza you won't want to miss. Welcome into the Farzy Show, everybody. My name is Marc Farzetta. We're here at the Steven Singer Studios. As per usual, Ben Simmons is in Philadelphia. What the hell is he doing here? Selling his house, selling his condo, his apartment, whatever you want to call it. Ben Simmons is in Philadelphia. Who knew? This was interesting. Let's just start it out with this. First, let me tell you, our friend Dave Zangaro is going to join the show a little bit later on, talk all things Eagles, so we'll have that conversation with Dave. Looking forward to that, as per usual. Hugh Douglas, it is a Hugh's day. However, Hugh won't be with us again today. Hugh's got some family things going on. Not bad stuff, but he's actually getting time to hang out with his family, and I feel bad taking him away from that. So we'll get him again, not too distant future, that much I promise you. I just like to treat people like human beings, I guess, and just be like, hey, dude, enjoy your family. Enjoy your family. But anyway, so Hugh will join us in the not too distant future. But Dave Zangaro will join us today to talk about this short week the Eagles have after they beat the Carolina Panthers, and now they go on to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have Tom Brady as their quarterback, and he's pretty good, wrapped hand or not, as we even referenced yesterday. But the big story is Ben Simmons. So I'm not feeling too great. Let me be honest. I told you guys a while back that my daughter started going to a little nursery school, right, little daycare, whatever you want to call it, and she's really come around to it. But as all my friends told me, it was like, get ready to be sick, and well, here we are. My wife, me, my daughter had the stomach bug. I'm not so much on the stomach bug as much as just feeling like overall crap. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. And I'm going to bed early last night, and I'm trying to go to bed early at least, and I can't help scroll Twitter right before I try to close my eyes and fall asleep. Terrible idea, because guess what? Trying to sleep, tough. Woj bomb. And here's the Woj bomb. Trying to get a nap, actually. It wasn't, yeah. So this is middle of the day. Sixers officials and Clutch CEO Rich Paul have progressed in talks over recent days on a resolution to bring All-Star Ben Simmons back to Philadelphia in the near future. Sources tell ESPN discussions are ongoing. We'll keep them going because this progresses later to this. A couple of minutes later, the organization's hopes are unchanged. Get Simmons back into Philadelphia onto the court and ultimately convince him that it's still the place for him long term. And then this is the one that kept me up last night. This coming out at 9:36 p.m. Sixers All-Star Ben Simmons has arrived in Philadelphia, took a COVID test as required by NBA protocol, sources tell ESPN. Well, how do you like them apples? Now, I did tweet out a poll in the middle of the day after the first Woj bomb was dropped, and then the last one was dropped at the 9:48 there, and that kept me up. So I'm watching this all unfold, and I said to myself, you know what? I would just want to, maybe I'm crazy, because I got to tell you this, guys. Sometimes things are, you think, blatantly obvious. And I don't need to tell you. I mean, I'm sure there's been shocks in your life as well where you just go, I didn't even expect that. And the thing I always go back to, and it's a totally different circumstance, but it still has to do with gauging crowd reaction. I'll never forget, again, totally different circumstance, but I'll never forget when the Eagles signed Michael Vick. And I was at WIP at the time, and I'll never forget the amount of callers, the people that just lost their minds over Mike Vick signing with the Eagles. And I remember, the head of the NAACP in Philadelphia, Jerry Montesire, was at the Eagles preseason game to rebut the protesters that were there. And there really weren't that many protesters. I remember like maybe a couple people on a corner saying that the Eagles shouldn't have signed him, and that was about it. And they had like some signs, but it wasn't anything that I would have expected. But I remember callers saying they're done with the Eagles. How could they do this? They're no longer a root for the team. And I remember going to the game. I remember interviewing Jerry Montesire along with the big group of reporters. I remember going into the stadium, and I remember I left the press box to go out to the field itself because I wanted to hear if people were really going to be booing, if people were really going to be upset. And the second play of the game, Michael Vick runs onto the field, and he got a standing ovation. And I was like, well, we were way off. So I look at this other situation where I think it's blatantly obvious what the Sixers fans are going to do when Ben Simmons runs on the court. Again, let me stress, totally different circumstances. And what they're going to do with Ben Simmons. And sure enough, About 1,300 people responded to my poll, and I had three choices. I had, what are you going to do when Ben Simmons is introduced in the home opener, if he is playing for the Sixers still? And the first selection was cheer, boo, or boo. There was like several O's after the end of that one, and exclamation points. And hey, what did you know about 88% were boo? They're going to boo the hell out of him. So, okay, cool. Then we're all on the same page here, so that's nice. But here's what needs to happen. And here is, quite frankly, the best case scenario. And Joel Embiid referenced this after the game. We'll let you hear from him in just a minute. We'll let you hear from Doc Rivers as well. I'll tell you right now, I am not kidding you when I say this. I have the same reaction now to Ben, to the visual of Ben Simmons, whether they're talking about Simmons, whether or not he's going to be traded or coming to Philadelphia on ESPN or on NBC Sports Philly, and they show a picture of Ben Simmons, or if I'm scrolling my Instagram and the thing of Ben Simmons comes up with him shooting or whatever. When I see Ben Simmons, and I'm not kidding you when I say this, I'm not just going top shelf for a comparison here, but when I see Ben Simmons, I have the same reaction when I see a picture of Joe Carter in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform. I'm like, Like, that's my same reaction. I kid you not. I kid you not. And, recently, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was going through some stuff at the house, and I was looking through some old stuff, and I found a 93 Phillies book. And I was flipping through it, and I saw Joe Carter. I went, ugh. And then, like, an hour later, I'm watching ESPN. They're talking about Ben Simmons. I went, ugh. Like, the same thing. And I caught myself doing it. And I was like, how the hell is that possible? And I'm like, oh, because one guy kind of ruined my childhood, and the other guy is ruining this whole process that we all waited, so a lot of us waited all patiently for throughout the entire process to bear fruit. And now you have two guys that you think can help you bear fruit, and one guy wants to quit. One guy in Ben Simmons has already acknowledged that he can't play with Joel Embiid. Oh, he can't play with Joel Embiid. It's not for his style, nothing but style. You were the number 1 seed last year. So, hey, something's working. And if it doesn't work, and if it's not working, you know why that is, Benjamin? It's because you won't shoot. And if you're a point guard and won't shoot, that kind of hurts your spacing a wee bit. So I think we can all sum it up with this. Ben Simmons is going to come back. Ben Simmons is probably going to play. Ben Simmons is going to come out there on the court, and we're going to boo him like crazy. And then he's got to go make his foul shots. And then he's got to change his game to finally expand his offensive skill set. And if he does that, and the Sixers actually look like a legit team again, like they could compete for a number 1 seed, and really, as I've been saying throughout this entire process, I don't give a damn about what seed they are. All I care about is they look like a team that can really push through the playoffs and actually make it to a championship, make it to the finals. The Ben Simmons that shoots, the Ben Simmons that hits his free throws, the Ben Simmons that played this past February can be an MVP candidate. I've been saying this forever, and then that Stephen A. Smith stole my take. I think he can be an MVP with all those attributes. And I always go back to the evidence that we have in front of us. One is, all right, he's the second best defender in the league. I think he's the best defender in the league, but the second best defender in the league because he actually defends the perimeter, unlike that Rudy Gobert character. And I also think that you also look at a guy that already got an MVP vote, despite the fact he doesn't shoot. He's already a 3-time All-Star, and he doesn't shoot. If he just adds shooting, free throws, you're talking about a guy scoring around 25 points per game. Do that with the defensive capabilities you have and the facilitating abilities you have. Yeah, you're gonna be in that MVP conversation even more so than just getting some, finishing 6th in the voting. So yeah, I think it's pretty easy to make that declaration. Now, I just don't know how this happens when it comes to the awkward situation of, hey guys, you guys want to come out here to LA and talk me into coming back? Let me save you a trip. You guys stay right there in Philadelphia. You go to your little practices and have yourself a good time. And then also, after other things leak out about not being able to play with Joel, it's not the best fit and all that, and how other things leak out about how he doesn't want to face those fans again in Philadelphia. It's not going to be easy to get over the stuff that's already out there. Like the true colors has come out. There's only a couple of ways that you can really resolve this. One, address it immediately. If Ben's back in Philadelphia, which apparently the Sixers didn't even know about until much later, there's only if you address the media immediately and you answer all the questions, and you're honest, and you're upfront, and you say what's what, refute reports, confirm reports, whatever. Hey, a lot of things have been said. I want to set the record straight. All right, I'll listen because we haven't heard from you yet. I would love to hear you come out and say, I never said that. That's something that somebody else took way out of context, and that's not what I was saying. Like, I would love to hear that from Ben Simmons. The other suggestion is, and I think this kills two birds with one stone. Allen Iverson wants a job with the Sixers. Hey, Allen Iverson, go fix this. Allen Iverson puts his arm around Ben Simmons, says, give my man another chance, whatever. I think a lot of Philadelphia would listen. I think if Allen Iverson got involved in this somehow, and if Ben Simmons is willing to listen to the guy whose poster he had on his wall as a kid, I think that's something that would actually catch his attention just a little bit. That's really the only way. You have to address the media immediately if you're Ben Simmons. And the other thing is maybe AI can get involved here and try to sand this down to a smooth surface. The third thing is really the most important thing, and it's what I just went on a tangent about. It's be better, Ben. Be that guy that a lot of people, myself included, look, even in me defending Ben Simmons, I still always acknowledged he's got to be better. You come into the league as a near all-star, make all-star teams, and you don't want to push to be an MVP, and it's an easy way to do it. Shoot the basketball. Then yeah, you should be able to. You should do that. Ben comes back. Ben improves. This team really starts winning. This team looks like they could have two potential MVP candidates in this lineup on this roster. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think the as they say in the movie Gladiator, which was recently put on Netflix, and I've already watched 10 times since it's been. The mob is fickle, brother. So Ben does all that. All is forgiven. But one thing does have to happen. You have to come out. You have to answer the questions. Ben, what can you confirm? What can you deny? And go from there. That's what needs to happen. So I know we'll be talking about this Ben Simmons fiasco for quite some time until we really see it bear fruit. But maybe, hey, look, if you're looking at the side of optimism throughout all of this, this was a pretty drastic and dramatic offseason. A lot of things were said by the Sixers, Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons camp. We'll say that. A lot of things were said. Maybe all this drama, maybe all this negative attention, maybe that's what Ben needed to get the kick in the butt to take the next step in his NBA career and really reach his full potential. Because I'll tell you, when he was at LSU, and I know I'm not the only one, we all heard the comparisons. I'll never forget people talking about, oh, he's the next LeBron James. You got to take him number one. Yeah, he'll learn to shoot. If he just shoots, he'll be the LeBron James. That was the take when he was still at LSU. And then I remember talking to Phil Martelli. And Phil, I asked him, I said, hey, look, are we getting a little ahead of ourselves when it comes to this stuff? He's like, well, yes, but it's true. Like, yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's true. He is LeBron James if he learns to shoot. As far as facilitating, rebounds, what he can do offensively, everything he can do on the basketball court, learn to shoot, he's LeBron James. All right. Let's get LeBron James going then. Let's see that. I'd love to. Hey, wouldn't mind it here in Philly. Wouldn't mind it. Not happy about it. It's going to be awkward. Again, the bottom line is he showed his true colors as far as how he feels about this organization, how he feels about this city. But hey, you know what? Come on out, Ben. Deny it all. Say it. Oh, no, I'm glad I'm having this opportunity to finally tell my side of the story without things just being said through the media. I'm telling it like it. Here it is. All right, hey, I'm up. I'm all ears, Ben. Go ahead. So that's that whole thing going on. Coming up, I haven't looked at the poll I put out there in a couple hours, so I'll see if it's changed at all. But we'll get to that in just a minute. Here is Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid is put together by NBC Sports Philadelphia as everything that unfolded yesterday from what was it 10:48? What do we got here? Yeah, 10:48 in the morning to 9:36 at night. Here is and this is while the Sixers were playing the Brooklyn Nets for a preseason. By the way, there was a game last night. Yeah, preseason, albeit preseason nonetheless. A game nonetheless. Here's Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid after the game when they learned about Ben Simmons coming back to Philadelphia.
I think he did his COVID test today from reports from Woj. I'm gonna call Woj to find out what's going on.
He's good for the organization. That's something that everybody wanted. I've always said that. I believe that he gives us the best chance to win. We a better team, with him than without, that's for sure. So I'm happy that, things have resolved and, we can move on and, try to be a better team.
Great. That's that's great. Good to hear, fellas. Good to hear. And maybe, okay, let's set the scene. Okay, let's set the scene here. All right. Ben Simmons walks into the practice facility. Maybe Ben Simmons sees everybody last night. He goes up to Joel Embiid and he's like, "Look, a lot of stuff has been said. I love you, and let's try to make the best of this." Joel Embiid, if I'm writing the script, Joel Embiid probably says something along the lines of, "I don't care. I'm glad you're back. Bottom line, I'm glad you're back because we are a better team with you here. But cut the crap. There's no more of this. You're not shooting BS. You're shooting the basketball. I'm gonna try to be dominant. You try to be dominant too. That's what needs to happen. And that's how, if I'm writing the script, that's how I actually think it unfolds. So we'll cross our fingers for that. Football wise, hey, the Eagles are playing this week again. That's fun. The Eagles are playing again this week, and they're playing they're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm actually looking forward to that game. Anytime Tom Brady's coming into the house, I get pumped up for it because I want to see the Eagles just destroy him. I mean, bottom line. Nick Sirianni had an interesting press conference. One, I'll tell you this. I don't know how Nick's going to make it to Thursday, and you'll hear it in a second. Nick is exhausted. Like he either sounds like he's like me, like he's getting sick or something, or he's just flat out worn out. But there's a couple of interesting questions that I thought stuck out to me from the press conference yesterday. And one was from our guest today, Dave Zangaro. We'll let you hear it in a second. The other was from Jeff McClain of The Inquirer, who asked Nick Sirianni about self-evaluating. And this is always an interesting thing. When you self-evaluate, how are you evaluating yourself? Like, what are you getting out of your performance? How would you judge yourself, basically? What do you want to do better? What's something you want to do more of? So let's start it off with Dave Zangaro's question. And I'll let you draw your own conclusions before I set it up further. But here's Dave and Nick Sirianni yesterday at the press conference.
And Nick, what are the keys to being successful on a short week?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dave. It's to make sure you're keeping things simple and not getting too complicated, because you're not going to have the reps of live reps of doing the things that you're going to do in games. So keep things simple, keep it things that guys can learn and execute, that you've been executing all year, and but then again, also be able to attack them enough where you're going after the style of defense they are. So I mean, there's always a happy medium in that, but definitely just be able to do things that we can execute, knowing that we don't have a lot of time to get ready for this game. And then also, this week will be walkthroughs because we got to get our legs back underneath us. So it's resting the guys as well, having more mental reps, having more walkthrough reps to get their bodies physically ready to play. But a lot of this is going to be a heavy get mentally ready for this game week.
So when I listen to everything from Nick Sirianni, it's all about keeping it simple, stupid, right? Could have stopped right there. Keep it simple, stupid. Make sure you're not exhausting yourself physically. That's how you just answer that question. And when I listen to it, I think of a guy who is flat out exhausted, first off, just from his own voice and his own delivery. He's not as in your face as he usually is, right? And then the second thing is the mental reps. I think that's how a lot of coaches approach it. I'm sure that's very similarly to how Frank Reich approached it in all the years they spent together while Nick Sirianni was under Frank Reich. So when I look at it and listen to all that unfold, I'm thinking, okay, that sounds great. Keep it simple, stupid. And that immediately makes me think of one of the most basic things in all of football offensive schemes or philosophies, if you will, if it's not a scheme. Run to pass ratio. Keep it simple, stupid. Run the football. Don't worry about the RPOs. Just maybe a little Jalen Hurts under center, turn around, hand the ball to a running back, and let them run. That's pretty easy. And it looks like you're not going to have Lane Johnson back. Landon Dickerson, I think he said tweaked his ankle. So now he's expected to play for this game. He's expected to be good to go as far as this game goes, which is great. But if you're going to keep it simple, let's keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Run the football. Use your running backs. Keep everything close to the line of scrimmage, but just not screen. They were getting out blown up and everything. He was asked about that yesterday as well, and he just said that the Panthers were making adjustments. And I'm like, to your screen game that you kept going to, I would make adjustments too. If it's like, oh, next play's a screen. Like, hey, if something looks like it's an easy tackle, stay away from it, because guess what? It's a screen. Stay away from that. If you think you have a sack, no, every play wasn't like a old-fashioned Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb, Brian Westbrook screen, but you know what I'm saying. If you think one thing's happened, it's probably not. So yeah, I think they made adjustments. How about your adjustment? So that was one of the things he got into yesterday. And yeah, I think every coach during a short week is just trying to let their team get their legs back under them before they have that game on Thursday. Now, this is the other thing. The self-evaluation. It's always hard for me to evaluate myself. And that's what Nick Sirianni's trying to do here. And I think it's hard for a lot of people. Nick Sirianni talked about it yesterday when Jeff McClain asked him, hey, at this point in the season, 5 games in, 2-3 on the year, Bucks coming in, how are you self-evaluating? And Nick said, well, I'm doing it, but I'm going to do a little bit more later. Take a listen.
I always want to be, I think we're 11th in the red zone right now, and definitely want to be better in that area in the red zone for different reasons here and there. Also too, just also want to be able to mix it up, run, play action, screens, pass, different circumstances call for different things in each game. I get that. So, but just we have some good elements to each part of this team, as far as the offensive line, the skill players that we have, the tight ends that we have, the running backs that we have. It's always like, man, I want to get him the ball more, and I want to get him the ball more, and I want to get him the ball more. And then sometimes it's not always that simple, and the defense dictates how that goes too, because Jalen has reads within the play. So, I'm always looking to improve. And again, those are some specific areas that I'm really looking at it. For the most part, the other thing is when you come off, like after we come off this Tampa week, which you'll have a long weekend to be able to assess yourself even more. We're constantly assessing ourselves as far as our tendencies and things like that, but you get more chance to do that when you're coming off of a long weekend, which we will have here in the future, or in this week. Because on this short week like this, you're just trying to get your guys ready to play, get them ready to go, and do things that you can execute.
Is coming for Nick Sirianni, and I'm going to be interested to see this. He's known in practice, like I mentioned before, he talked about training camp. He stopped practice because he didn't feel like it was going well. He likes to pride himself on being a good teacher and a good coach. So, all right, let's see how he does with the evaluation process with himself. If every single practice means something in terms of a competition, as Nick Sirianni likes to say, offense won this day, defense won that day, and whatever. If that's true, then when are the days you take the loss? When are the days Nick Sirianni is looking back on film and saying in a particular game, that one's on me. All right, that one was not executed well. That one was Miles Sanders not hitting a hole. That one was Jalen Hurts overthrowing a guy, but the play call was good. Oh, no, this is a play that I should have called instead of this play to put my player in a better position here. Like, now you're going to have that long week to do that and have that self-evaluation. I am looking forward to seeing, all right, Nick, you talk about adjustments with players. You talk about coaching them up. You talk about seeing them improve and them competing with other players. How are you competing with yourself? How are you going to come back from the mistakes you made in the unofficial first, quarter of the season, really? When even after this game, you talk about your first 6 games as a head coach. What are you going to do for the next 6 games? What are you going to do all the way through week 18? Yeah, that's right. Week 18. Scary. 17 games. What are you going to do through this entire season to keep on moving the ball forward for yourself as a play caller, a head coach, and a teacher? Especially with these wide receivers, which is still just bonkers to me that they make so many mistakes. We'll get to that with our friend Dave Zangaro in just a second. We'll get to some of your wonderful comments in the social media check-in coming up a little bit later in the show. I see yous. I love yous. You guys, great stuff. Let me tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Love talking about our friend Steven Singer. Man's absolutely incredible. And I'll tell you, the competition must really hate Steven Singer, because he's not only focused on sales and coupons or discounts. Like to him, that doesn't really matter. You know what he's focused on? He's focused on you. And he's focused on being in the love business. That's what he is focused on. And to celebrate the love, that means that he's giving the very best price every single day. Steven, the first to offer the perfect price. You ever wonder if you're getting the best price? If you're uncomfortable negotiating? Well, here's a little insider tip for you. Most jewelers, they like to mark up their merchandise just to mark it down in front of you, just so you feel like you're getting some kind of deal. At Steven Singer, the deal's always there for the taking with the perfect price. He's the first to do this. The guy next to you, yeah, what's he paying? Is he paying less than me? How do I negotiate? He seems like he's good, but what am I doing here? Well, make sure you take advantage of the perfect price every single time and make the purchase for someone special a very special purchase. Steven doesn't play with those pricing games. You can trust Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers for the best value every single day. Stands behind that value with the best guarantee in the business. No risk shopping. How's that sound? That's why I trust Steven Singer. That's why I tell my friends and family. That's why I tell you guys, trust Steven Singer from a real jeweler with beautiful jewelry. Visit Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. IHateStevenSinger.com. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, want to get to our guest today, Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia, to help us understand all the things that are happening with the Philadelphia Eagles on this short week. Without further ado, Dave Zangaro joins us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. And joining us right now on the amazing Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, our good friend from NBC Sports Philadelphia, the Eagle Eye podcast as well, Mr. Dave Zangaro. What's going on there, Dave?
What's up, man? How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Let me just say this. Question of the news conference, as far as I was concerned, question of the news conference, you kept it simple. You know what's funny? You asked a very simple question. Nick Sirianni tried to give you a very simple answer by saying this particular week, when you have a short week coming up against the Bucs, coming up against Tom Brady, you got to keep it simple, stupid. What did you make of his answer to your question? I played it earlier in the show. It seems like something that is almost too easy to do, hopefully, in what is a short week.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, because he mentioned, like, you have to go simple. You have to just do what you do best. I don't know what that is with this offense, because it's the things.
It's hey, Jalen Hurts, go make a play. That's the offense.
Yeah, that sounds snarky, and I didn't mean it to be, because it's like the things that we've found to be effective in this offense, for whatever reasons, they haven't really been staples. Like they've had really different game plans with varying levels of success depending on their opponent, which isn't like a bad thing to really change your game plan. But I think he was asked maybe before, I forget when it was, but he was asked like what he wants this offensive identity to be, and he didn't really have an answer. I don't know what the answer is. We've seen them kind of struggle to figure that out. So in a short week, when I agree with him on that philosophy, right? Like you have a short week, you just don't have time to really dive too deep. You have to make it simple, and you have to kind of lean on what you do best. But do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
I don't know what that is right now. I have an idea of what it should be, but we haven't like seen that every week. You know what I mean? I think you look back at the Atlanta game and you look at the Kansas City game when the offense, and I'm talking offensively in this case, not necessarily the whole team, but those two game plans to me were very similar. And I do some of that. I understood what they were doing there, and it's tricky because they're trying to tailor this to Jalen Hurts as much as they can. But I also think they have to help him out a little bit. I think you have to take a little bit off his shoulders, and that doesn't just mean running the football. That would help a little bit more, but the game plan in the last game was a little wacky to me, moving as constantly horizontal as they were. Simplify a little bit, move forward, and do some of the things we saw in that Kansas City game and the Atlanta game.
Yeah, so don't screen. Screen.
And
Screen.
I'm a screen guy. That's the thing.
I'm a big fan of the screen. You sure? Yeah.
I really am. And what this team has the offensive line's a little banged up, and that takes away some of that ability. But in general, I think they have the players to make these screens effective. You have, Miles Sanders, who has his limitations as a receiver, but he's explosive when he gets the ball in his hands. Kenny Gainwell, very smooth receiver out of the backfield. You have some tight ends who can catch bubble screens. You have a guy like, Jalen Reagor or Quez Watkins, who I totally feel comfortable throwing bubble screens to. So you have the players to do it, and you have, even when they are banged up, and all the guys aren't out there, you don't have all your horses, you still have an offensive line that is athletic enough to get to the second level, but that can't be all screens.
I'm 1,000% with you, but you know what? You touched on something a second ago. It said, you weren't sure exactly what this offense's identity is. You said you have an idea of what it should be. What Coach Zangaro appointing you the position of play caller, play designer, whatever you want to call it, what should be the game plan? What should they be focusing on as an offense to just try to throw their best version of themselves at opposing defenses?
Yeah, some of it's finding balance. And, when I say balance, I think people automatically assume run pass, and that's not all there is. I think, yes, I hate that Nick Sirianni is turned me into a run the ball guy, because I'm not.
No, Dave, hold on. Dave, I've made the difference. For the last couple of weeks, I have said I've seen Andy Reid and Doug Peterson abandon the run. I haven't seen a coach ignore the run. And that's that has made me pound, the pavement for the whole run to pass ratio as well. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not even like I'm saying to run 20 times a game, right? But I think you have to have a little bit more balance. And I get his idea that the RPOs in his mind are runs, but they're not. They're just not runs. So I get his point, though, and they're going to take those matchups. And look, RPOs are going to be a part of this offense. We've seen them have some success and plenty of failure early on. I think we know the RPOs are a part of this offense because they think they have the quarterback to do it. I'd start utilizing Jalen Hurts' legs a little bit more. And that's not to say I want him to be a run-first guy, but we saw late in that game, there were a few times he pulled the ball and it was really effective. And you start to wonder, well, if he did that a couple of times early in the game, how much would it have opened up some other things? Because even the threat of his legs is a pretty good threat to have. So I think that's part of it. And I think that getting the ball out of his hands quickly is also part of it. And that's not to say there can't be deep shots, but you got to mix it in. It feels like so much of game plan specific things have been geared one way or the other. And it's like, this is the focus and we're doing this, but I think he needs to find a balance overall in what he's been calling.
I would certainly agree with that in almost every facet there. Defensively speaking, Jonathan Gannon's unit played a much better football game. Granted, it was against Sam Darnold and it wasn't against a guy named Patrick Mahomes, but overall played a much better football game this time around. Guys stayed home. Guys were setting the edge. Like Jannard Avery as a linebacker was doing a great job with that throughout this football game. But defensively speaking, when it comes to this defensive line, if I could cut and paste from that game against the Panthers to this game against the Buccaneers, the one thing I'd want to see repeated is the way that defensive line played. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and it's all predicated on that. It's not the same. It's funny because it's not the same defense as Jim Schwartz. It's different in many ways, but that part's still the same. They've invested so much in this defensive line, and when you have that much into a line, you kind of have to lean on it. And you can see what happens when the pass rush gets home and what happens when it doesn't get home. The pass rush and the secondary work in unison so much and we saw that in that game. They got pressure. They forced Sam Darnold into bad throws and off balance throws, and they got some picks out of it. So yeah, it's the key to this team is both lines, but on defense, it's the defensive line getting pressure without sending blitzes because Gannon doesn't want to blitz. I don't know if they have the secondary to blitz. I don't know if they have the back seven to blitz. Their linebackers are a weakness. So if the front four can get home, at times front three, I guess, in this defense,
right?
If those guys can get home, it changes everything. It really does. And all those guys played well. Fletcher Cox had a much more active game. Javon Hargrave is a one-man wrecking crew. He's playing at an all-pro level. He
absolutely
really is. I don't know if he'll get that recognition this year if he continues it, but With the sack numbers alone, he's going to put himself in that conversation. Josh Sweat, to me, had his best game. Derek Barnett had his best game. It's something to build. Ryan Kerrigan had a tackle for loss.
I even tweeted that. I go, oh, there you are. Ryan Kerrigan, nice to see you.
It'd be nice to get something out of him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They need the defensive line to continue to do that.
All right. When it comes to the penalties, and specifically the wide receiving core, is it wrong of me to look at a wide receiving core under Nick Sirianni and a guy like Aaron Moorhead, who they kept from the Doug Peterson era? Is it wrong for me to look at this and go, hold on a second, you guys are supposed to be really good offensive coaches as far as specifically wide receivers, coaching them up. Why am I seeing penalties in the end zone with these guys in particular, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and also Greg Ward, a veteran? Why am I seeing these plays continue to happen with wide receivers?
Yeah, they shouldn't happen. And if you look at both of those, to me, the Ward one was much worse.
Oh, God, that was egregious,
And Sirianni tried to explain it away by saying the defensive back made a smart play and made contact. Well, yeah, he did, but you're in it like...
You're being hugged. You're being hugged.
That's the thing. It's like, of course he made contact because he's trying to get to the ball, and you're in his way because you didn't move out of the way.
Right.
It's a simple thing, but you just got to know you can't make contact. If you got to dive out of the way, if you're Greg Ward, you dive out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let him. If he initiates contact, I get it. It makes the play tougher for you as the guy who's setting the pick or the screen. It's not a pick; it's a screen.
Right.
Get out of the way.
Right.
It's a simple thing, and we can extend it to. We've seen the 4 touchdowns taken off the board because of offensive receiver penalties. You had J-Jaw, you had Greg Ward, and you had Rager and Smith going out of bounds.
Wait, hold on a second. Is J-Jaw a new one, or have we always called him J-Jaw?
I do that to save time because I don't want to spend too much time on him.
Why? Does it take a long time to say JJR? Whiteside?
Yeah, I've never done the Arcega thing. I should. It's his name. I always go Arcega-Whiteside.
Well, I will say I did ask him. And I made the mistake of asking him. Like, I always ask these guys these things just because, like, I'd always want someone to say my name right. And I know, like, your name and my name. Sometimes, some people put some stank on it. Zangaro or Farsetta. But anyway, so I asked JJ Arcega-Whiteside, I asked JT Real Muto. And Real Muto specifically said, he goes, yeah, it's just Real Muto. Too many people put stank on it. And I was like, that's awesome. And then Arcega-Whiteside was like, yeah, man, you know what? Yeah, put that little thing on there. Let's go Arcega. And I I like that. Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, if he wants it, I'll do that.
But then he ended up not
there too.
He's got to earn it though. As far no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he did make the distinction. But anyway,
I'm a stickler. No, I'll go off script. I'm a stickler. Sorry.
No,
that's
fine.
One of my things. Like whenever we have a new player or coach in town, I always check with them.
Sure.
So you'll start noticing it on introductory press conferences. Normally, I have an early question. It'll be, "Can you say your name for me?" Or do you prefer this or that? Like when they drafted Gainwell, that's why I call him Kenny instead of Kenneth. Everyone called him Kenneth before the draft, and then he got here, and now he's Kenny to me. Jonathan Gannon, I made sure he preferred Jonathan instead of John.
John. Yeah.
Yeah, he prefers Jonathan, so Jonathan it is. Yeah, I'm happy to oblige, guys. I'd want to be called the right name too.
Yeah. I know. I like how we just went on the side with that, but that's my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as these penalties go with the wide receiver position, the other thing also is where they line up on deep balls, for instance. You see Devontae Smith. I feel like he was interfered with a little bit, maybe came in and established himself against San Francisco or against the Kansas City Chiefs. But then you also saw a similar play with Jalen Rager. He went out of bounds as well in a similar play in the week prior against the 49ers. So when it comes to just coaching these guys up, I would expect a little bit more from a guy like Aaron Moorhead and Nick Sirianni as well.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it happen twice in a couple weeks.
Right.
But the Rager one was more egregious, like if we're ranking them, because
in terms of
more room.
Yeah.
He kind of took himself out, where at least Smith was he was on the short side of the field, so he had a little bit. You still can't go out of bounds. You just it can't happen, and he knows that. I'm not too worried about Devontae nailing down that detail. In fact, he told us that before each practice he goes in. This was a fun thing to learn about him. He said he goes in each practice with one thing he wants to improve. So it's not like he's neglecting everything else, but that's kind of the way he said he's done that since Alabama. So it's like every practice he goes into, like, all right, today I want to work on my release on this route or whatever it is. And the first practice after that, guess what his thing was? It was keeping your line on those go routes to make sure you don't come into a situation like that again. I like that from him.
I like that. That's interesting. I didn't hear him say that. That's pretty awesome. When you talk about Jalen Hurts, look, we can talk about his play, and we will, but overall, I don't know if this guy could be easier to root for. Like, other than, like, every throw's perfect and on the money and the Eagles are, 5-0, whatever. Like, I just find this guy so ridiculously easy to root for his mentality, his approach to everything. When he puts up good numbers and you guys ask him about the numbers after the game, and he's like, well, I don't want to talk about that. Like, even this past week, he was like, I don't want to talk about that, sir. The defense played great. Like, I find it very difficult to believe you could find a guy that's easier to root for than Jalen Hurts and what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, the intangibles are not in question, like not even a little bit, and they never were. I mean, we've known that from people who were at Alabama knew it, people who were at Oklahoma knew it, and people in Philly found out pretty quickly, especially in that building, that he kind of has the it factor as a leader. The guys gravitate toward him the way that they don't always gravitate toward other players. And it was apparent early on. The work ethic is there. The growth mindset is there. The want to is there. The question about him is the arm and is the accuracy. And those questions persist. As much as we got the affirmation of all the intangibles in this last game, there were some questions about the arm and about the accuracy. And I think it's fair to look at it. And I've noticed this thing in this city with Jalen Hurts, and I don't think it's special to him or only with him, but it's been, I kind of call it the way I see it with Hurts. And I'm a little skeptical of him as a thrower and whether or not he can be the future franchise guy. And I think some of those doubts have been placed there by the organization, right?
Sure. They drafted him to be a backup. They drafted him as a second-round pick. All the talk in the offseason about Deshaun Watson, certainly, yeah.
So when I watch him now, I do watch it through that lens. And maybe that's not fair, but I'm going to call it like I see it. He didn't play very well for 3.5 quarters. But then what he did at the end of that game, it was special. It was. I mean, he made some great plays with his legs and with his arms. I mean, that play on the 2-point conversion to Devontae Smith in the back of the end zone, there aren't a ton of guys who can make that play, really. So with him, we need to see more consistency, and that's not to be unexpected from a young player, right? Like, a lot of guys go through some ups and downs early in their careers. So I want us to get to a point in the conversation about Jalen Hurts where we can all agree that there's some nuance here. It's when Jalen Hurts has a bad throw, and I say he has a bad throw, it doesn't mean I'm saying he can't be the future franchise quarterback. Then right. I feel like it's just so one way or the other. And it's not like I'm trying to call it the fan base, because I think it's some media members too. It's like it's all one way, all the other. It's like a boat rocking back and forth, and the water sloshing every time it rocks. Like, let's try to steady the ship a little bit here and realize that one bad game or one bad throw doesn't mean he sucks, and one great play doesn't mean he's the future. There's more nuance to it. They have the rest of the season to figure this out, and I'm optimistic about what he can do, because there really have been good signs, and I think the growth isn't going to be steady, right? It's not like every game he's going to get better and better and better and better, and all of a sudden he's an all-pro. It's non-linear. It's non-linear progression for football players, especially on quarterbacks. So I think you have to understand there's going to be ups and downs with Jalen Hurts, and we saw that in this game. I mean, this game's a pretty good microcosm of what he is at this point in his career.
Sure. Yeah, no, I got an argument in the post-game show I'm doing now with our friend Derek Gunn. I got an argument with somebody in the comment section about, like, I just said that there's a couple of throws that Jalen Hurts wanted back against the Chiefs. ultimately they lost because the defense was terrible, but I'm sure he wants these throws back. I pointed out the throw that was a way overthrown Zach Ertz in the end zone. And people were like, oh, that's not why they lost. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I prefaced it by saying it isn't why they lost. But, and it's interesting you made the point about, watching him a little bit in terms of under a microscope, considering what he's up against. And it's not hypercritical, but you're going to call it as you see it. And you know what? Before you and me, the people that are going to be making the decision here, I think they're doing the same thing. I think Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Allure are doing the same thing, where they're looking at Jalen Hurts and going, this is what we got. But over here, we have this shiny toy and possibly 3 first-round picks to go do whatever the hell we damn well please in the offseason for the quarterback position. So, yeah, Hurts, go have your fun. Go do your thing, man. And hopefully, we'll discover something great. But no matter what you do, this is what you're competing against next year for another franchise quarterback, potentially, with what they have as far as assets go to put in that position going into next year.
Yeah, I think any team with, even if there's a minor question at the quarterback position, when a team has and a franchise has that type of ammo, that discussion is going to be there. And the Eagles, they didn't shut it down.
Right, exactly.
They didn't do anything to shut it down. And there have been reports that the Eagles would prefer for Jalen Hurts to really be great and for them to then build around him. Well, yeah, of course they prefer that.
No. I want my quarterback to suck. I want my young quarterback to just be terrible.
If they found Russell Wilson, then you have 3 first-round picks to build around him. Of course, that's a better situation.
Wow, what a situation that was. Because who was it that they signed that offseason? Was it Matt? I want to say Matt Flynn. Was that his name for the Packers? He came in through 6 touchdowns at the end of the season. They signed him to a big contract, and then they had Russell Wilson be like, "Yeah, I got this, guys, and we're good. Don't worry about the guy you just gave $27 million to, whatever it was." Two quick things for you. Just real quick on this. I know I gotta let you go. 2 quick things. One thing, Buccaneers, do they have a chance to win this game, Dave Zangaro?
I don't see it. It's tough, and right. maybe there's something the Bucs are. It's a short week for both teams, but Bucs have to fly. There's something there.
Okay.
Maybe Tom Brady's thumb is worse than we think.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, here's my idea. I'm just spitballing here. Take the Foles and Doug Peterson statue, move it right by the play clock. So every time Tom Brady's got to look at the play clock.
Think about it.
What do you think of that? And then finally, the last thing for you, probably the most important thing. Nick Sirianni has been showing Allen Iverson footage to these guys, to the wide receivers, to help them with the crossover and everything. I got one of the clips of Allen Iverson here. Just tell me if you think this is actually going to help the guys. Here it is. Yeah,
I've actually heard he's I'll send that to Nick. He can show the tight ends. I don't think they really run many fades.
That's right, yeah.
In this offense?
No, they don't.
If they want to. Those ups. You can't teach that though. That's the problem. Athleticism like that. Can't teach it. I'm
always gonna just find a way to work it in, my friend. You know him, you love him, absolutely. From to make you regret sending me that all those months ago. Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Eagle Eye Podcast, does a great job with our good friend Reuben Frank as well. Dave, thank you so much for coming on, much appreciated. And you know what? Here's to just absorbing all the hypercritical fans that just take us down when we're just trying to critique a quarterback that we're hoping sticks around here for a long time.
Oh, I love it, though. Thanks, Marc.
Exactly. Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Eagle Eye Podcast as well. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
I have to clip these comments that I'm seeing here at the bottom and send them to my buddy Dave. You guys are beautiful. Beautiful human beings. I'll send that to him later. We'll get to that in our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine. That's Dave Zangaro joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. I told you guys when my wife broke her foot, boom, went to Rothman. Went through the urgent care, and they took care of her. It includes orthopedic only, 4 of them, urgent cares in the area. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. How about BetQL? BetQL. Want to get the advantage over your sports book? You need to download the BetQL app, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bets computer model absolutely has everything for you. They scan over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And they give you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, and player props as well. I use this not only for bets, but also show research as well. Don't want to use their model and you prefer to do your own research? BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news, and leaderboards to track your own success. Head to the App Store right now or Google Play Store and download the BetQL app. Steak in Maine, ladies and gentlemen. I dream about this place. I am what you call a carnivore, and I long for their 2-pound tomahawk steak. It is nothing short of spectacular and delicious. So do what I do, ladies and gentlemen. Go to Steak in Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you like to dine in a more upscale steakhouse, casual bar, and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that in an extensive wine list, including Cavada Cellars Wines. My man, Tony Cavada, runs the place, owns the place, does a fantastic job with this place. Make sure you check out from his family to yours with Cavada Cellars Wines. What I always recommend to you, the Pinot Noir Cavada Cellars Wines. Pinot Noir with that tomahawk steak, forget about it. Life is good. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak in Maine in Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakinmaine.com for more information. How about the great people of Windview, the only game where fans can take on other fans and celebrate once and for all, as they decide who's the bigger sports fan, who knows more. Have a friend, likes to talk the talk, see if they can walk the walk with a Windview challenge. It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app that you can have a lot of fun on and see once again if your friends can not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. It's the perfect way to add an extra layer of competition to your fantasy league. Oh, you know what? I mentioned yesterday? I won that fantasy game that I was up like 1 million points by. Yes, I'm actually looking it up for my humble brag. I'm going to tell you right now. Boom, 141-67. What's up? Anyway, so it would have been a good idea if my friend would have challenged me. It's always a good thing to have. Last week, I got blown out. 2 weeks ago now. I got blown out. Shot a little Windview challenge over to my friend and I said, hey, how about this? Give me a chance to win a little bit today. Whether you're tracking games on Sunday, whether you're tracking games throughout the playoffs or for baseball, make sure you take advantage of all of Windview has to offer right there. So make sure you download the Windview app right now. Have yourself a good time. Also, want to mention our friends at PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. As I flip over to our social media check, and the first comment I see is from April. It doesn't count if you're playing Lil Toots. Come on. And like, when's an appropriate age? Like, I know everyone struggles with when to give their kid a cell phone. When's an appropriate age to get your kid involved in fantasy football? These are questions I ask. Let's jump into our social media check-in brought to you by Steak in Maine and steakinmaine.com. Dak leads it off today. Good morning, Dak. Then we got Dan. Good morning. Good morning to you. April, good morning to you. Dan, hello again. Boo! Dak, no video. Did we not have video earlier? Did we have video? PJ? Did we have video earlier? Yeah, we were good. No video. Oh, maybe it was when I played a clip. It was delayed. I don't know. Anyway, Mally, what's happening, Mally? My favorite player is back. Mally, you're adorable. Fars Nation. Wow. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. Dan, see what money can do. You know, I had made a joke about, I mean, it was more in jest than anything, about, oh, Mally's selling his condo in Center City. And now he's putting his house up for sale. Maybe he's just hard pressed for dollar bills, y'all. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he's got to sell his house to make ends meet now. Maybe he's got to sell the condo to make ends meet. He's going to be having he's going to go to a 1-bedroom in Francisville. That's what he's going to go to. So the greatest Sixer ever is back. Not as Gross is Ben Simmons. Dak, basically Ben has no leverage. Like at this point, like here's what I'm looking at. If Ben is back now, like this is the best, in all honesty, after looking around what you were going to get possibly in return for a trade, I rather, and I had said this since the end of last season. So with all this stuff, like let's just erase all the off the court stuff for a second here, which is really hard to do because again, in my mind, I now have the same reaction to Ben Simmons as I did to Joe Carter. Like when I see an image of those two, as I said earlier, it's like both reaction, right? The same reaction to both guys. But let's take away all that jazz, right? Let's take away all that for a second and just talk about the game of basketball. The best version of the Sixers is with Ben Simmons, and the best version certainly of the Sixers as to what it could be is Ben Simmons hitting his foul shots and shooting mid-range jump shots. To anyone that is in an argument with you and they say, oh, you're like Ben Simmons is going to start hitting threes, I want you to tell that person, okay, let's hold on for a second. No one is expecting or looking for Ben Simmons to shoot threes. Nobody. That is the piping hot take that needs to shut the hell up, and I'm tired of hearing of it. So just do me a favor, for the good of America, tell that person, no one's talking about threes, okay? Let's move on. April, man, first year of daycare is nothing but germs. Kids are so gross. So true. Ben's back to increase his trade value. Hey, Ben, fix your trade value now. How about that? Not bad, Dak. Not bad, Dan. Not bad, Mally. Marc is sick. You see the color of the shirt. Like, this is okay. In all honesty, this is the darkest shirt I can wear, right? The gray shirt is like the darkest shirt I can wear in a darker studio setup. Did Ben bring his jump shot? No. Dan asked that. Mally Marc got the sick face look, not the usual just hit the bong look. Dak, it was Mitch Williams' fault for serving Joe that meatball. Here's the thing. I've gotten to know Mitch pretty well over the years, and he, like, first off, the guy never shies away from talking about it. And second, he's like, man, that's all I had. That's all I had on that pitch. And yes, it was a meatball. Julian laughed my ass off. Mally is a funny guy. April, Dan, no, he brought lots of Insta filters. Yes, he didn't bring his jump shot, Ben Simmons. He brought lots of Insta filters. Jack, good morning to you. How you doing? April says, Marc, have some pastina. I haven't had pastina, and it's got to be 20 years. I haven't had pastina 23 years. 20. That was like always being made. My one little cousin, he would eat two things when he was, and he still is a very picky eater. He's now like 25, but he would only eat pastina and egg. He wouldn't even eat pizza as a kid, but pastina and eggs. So for those that don't know, pastina, like the best way to describe it's like little tiny starred pasta. It looks like specks of pasta is what it looks like, but it is delicious. And man, you some butter on that with some Parmesan cheese, greatest thing ever, right? And that was like baby food when you were little in an Italian family, or that was you're sick, so you have some of this. A lot of times, if you have it with scroll, you have it the like Italian wedding soup for people. Like sometimes you'll have the little specks of pasta. That's like pastina that usually you'll throw in there. But yeah, it does help. It's instant cure all. This chat is probably going to be the best thing I read today. April, good on you. Ronald's checking in, just laughing, having himself a good time. Simmons gonna turn Marc goth. Is that what you all want? Evan's checking in, saying, Farzy, when are you gonna do the Sirianni skits? Put on a wig. It's coming. I'm telling you right now. Dan, Sealski hacked Mally's account. Ian saying Zangaro is a run the ball guy now. Exposed. We were laughing about that before I hit record. We were both like, yeah, it's like funny how he has turned it. Like, I believe in a run to pass ratio and it should be even. But what I believe before that is how is the game playing out? And there are certain instances you could certainly look to especially in the early goings of the Nick Sirianni era, where you're going, you're completely ignoring the run. Let's balance it out a little bit. And then all of a sudden it worked. No better example than all of a sudden giving the ball to Miles Sanders. He runs for 23 yards against the Chiefs. I digress. Let's see here. Jack is just enjoying the conversation. Nice to have you, Jack. Zach is in. I'd rather have Carson than Hurts. Is that what you're saying, Zach? No question. I rather have Hurts. I mean, the Wentz thing, like if you're telling me all like we were just saying about Ben Simmons, all the off the court or off the field stuff doesn't exist, then yeah, sure, I want Wentz. But I don't feel like Wentz was ruined by the organization. And Wentz got entitled because of the organization. They did not handle that whole process well. Wentz didn't handle the whole process well. There's fault on both sides, certainly. But ultimately, a lot of that went to the organization for entitling and making Carson Wentz feel as entitled as he did and not reining him in sooner. With all the MVP stuff, with how great he is, hey, North Dakota kid, you ready to sling it when he signed the big contract? Like, that was bad. That was really bad. That let an alpha male go in there and feel like he ran the organization. Can't have that happen. Hurts, I don't feel like he's the type of guy that lets it go to his head. And I really like Jalen Hurts for so many different reasons. Zach rather have Carson than Simmons. Yeah, and by the way, side on Monday Night Football, the Colts actually did look good last night. Pete, so we just catch Marc with smoker's cough. Sick man to blame. Sick man to blame that on his daughter being sick. There's one thing I smoke, and that's cigars, ladies and gentlemen. And I haven't had a cigar since whenever the hell I was in Colorado. Nick's checking in. Can someone explain? I feel like this Mitch Williams reference with coaching is over my head. I'm telling you to buy some. It will make you feel better. Okay, I'm going from from south to north now on everything here. There was one more. Oh, there's just people that want to run through a brick wall. Sean is just saying Ben is trash. Baby Ben the clown. Changed my mind. Figure the fake. All right. Don Vito. Farzy, I couldn't get the pod yesterday until last night, so I'm here now so I don't get bamboozled again. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. We were trying to upload it. It didn't upload. I don't know what to tell you. It was just one of those weird things. We apologize for that. A lot of people are very amped up over Dave Zangaro and his dunk. I took it down. Anyway, you guys can catch that later. Thanks to everyone that chimed in on our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's move into our Morning Rush segment, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Morning Rush segment. Let's lead it off with this. A little bit more from Woj from ESPN, his ESPN.com article. This is what comes next for the 76ers and Ben Simmons. What comes next, quote, what comes next is unclear, but the Sixers are desperate to restart communication with the three-time All-Star who hasn't had a direct conversation with the front office or coach Doc Rivers since late August. Remember that meeting? Since they had a late August meeting in which he reiterated his desire for a trade. That was one of the things that stuck out to me from the Woj article that was written on ESPN. Doc Rivers said that meeting went well. I can't help but think that meeting was the scene in Half-Baked when Scarface quits his job and he's like, grabs the mic, bleep you, bleep you, bleep, bleep, bleep you. You're cool, Tyrese Maxey. Bleep you. I'm out, and leaves. That's probably how that meeting went with Ben Simmons all those months ago. Well, a month ago, 2 months ago now. So that's something that I think happened when it came to that particular meeting. It is interesting. Today is going to bear a lot of fruit. To see what happens with the Sixers today at the practice facility, see what happens with Ben Simmons in the front office, see what they work out, going to be pretty interesting because right now, hey, guess what, Ben? It is your job to fix your trade value. You want to be traded, shoot the basketball. And maybe you'll find in shooting the basketball, you will be better, maybe somehow magically with shooting the basketball and playing with Joel Embiid. Maybe that'll only improve upon the, 144 and 66 record you have while playing with Joel Embiid. So, yeah, I think that kind of works. Imagine if you shot the basketball, how good that will work. Anywho, I digress. John Gruden out as the Raiders head coach due to leaked emails covered by the New York Times. Now that he quit, I actually have to go back and read emails from John Gruden. Thanks, Gruden. Appreciate you. I will say this, as despicable as things that he said in some of the emails, and he made derogatory comments about the commissioner, used gay slurs, used ethnic stereotypes as well. Like, that's not stuff you should do ever, let alone putting it in writing in an email, albeit 7 years ago. So it's stuff that, let's acknowledge, and I think we can all agree, that's stuff that shouldn't be said. And I'm going to say this. I think Les Bowen had a very interesting take on this. Les Bowen really got the wheels turning last night. When I saw his tweet about how interesting it was that John Gruden's emails are being leaked, more emails are being leaked. Now he's stepping out. They're stepping down as the coach of the Oakland Raiders, a job that he waited forever to get back into coaching, a $100 million deal for 10 years. And he also finally has the Raiders back on the upswing. It is interesting that of all the emails that were gone through, the leaked emails were the ones with John Gruden, who just happened to refer to the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, as, well, unfortunate words. We'll just put it like that. Little vindictive there, Raj. Speculation. Funny coincidence. A strange coincidence. But John Gruden out, stepped down, told the players that he's done yesterday, and he also said in a statement he didn't mean to hurt anybody. So that's what he said. Just passing along the information. I have to say this. You guys know I'm a Saturday Night Live freak. I love SNL, and I got into a lot of that with Norm Macdonald passing away a couple of weeks ago, and phenomenal. I was intrigued. I had to catch it. I'm not a Kardashian. I didn't watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, any of that. But Kim Kardashian hosted Saturday Night Live, and I got to say, she did a phenomenal job. Kudos to her. For someone that gets ripped for like, oh, what does she do? And then like her response, like, ask my bank account what I do, like social influencers, whatever you want to call it. She did a great job hosting SNL. I got to say it. There was one part where I went, ew, and it was during her monologue when she referenced her dad. And she talked about her dad, who's passed, obviously, years ago. And I was like, where's this going? And it turned out to be all right. But other than that, I thought she did a great job. I thought she was funny. She apparently worked her ass off. Anyway, she apparently worked really hard on that whole thing. So good for her. I thought it was a good episode. I thought she did really well. It was 88% of the people voting, by the way, that they don't want, that they're going to boo Ben Simmons big time when he comes back to Philadelphia, when he actually plays in a game. So there's that. There you go. Hey, thanks to everyone that listened to the show today. Thanks to everyone that watched the show today. Much appreciated. Make sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube page, as well as download the podcast that we'll have up and running a little bit faster than yesterday. A little technical glitch yesterday, but appreciate you guys. My thanks to Dave Zangaro for jumping on the line with us. We'll try to get Hugh Lamont Douglas III on against this week, if not early next week once again. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated. I'm Marc Farzetta. I'm going to try to go eat some pastina right now. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning. Wednesday. It'll be day before football Wednesday coming up tomorrow. So look forward to that. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.